In the summer of 1947, the U.S. Navy patrol vessel USS Franklin Pierce sailed through a remote stretch of the North Pacific an area sailors called the Black Corridor. Maps labeled it simply as uncharted deep, but the men aboard knew it by its whispered nickname, the Grave Water. Strange radio signals had been detected here for weeks, low, rumbling pulses that repeated every 7 minutes. Command wanted answers. And so the Franklin Pierce was sent out with 42 men, unaware that nothing waiting beneath those waters wanted to be discovered. At dawn on August 3rd, the ocean felt wrong, too calm, like it was holding its breath. Lieutenant Samuel Royce stood on the deck, scanning the horizon. His gut twisted. He had survived storms, submarines, and night patrols during the war, but he had never felt fear like this. Below, deck engineer Warren Malik heard something unusual. A vibration, not a mechanical hum, something deeper. A throbbing pulse moving through the steel floor. It felt like the ocean itself was growling. In the radio room, Officer Tom Preston replayed the mysterious transmission. Slowed down, the signal sounded less like static and more like a voice, a deep, distorted voice repeating a single word. Falzer, Falzer. Preston didn't know what it meant, but it didn't sound human. Before he could analyze it again, the ship jolted hard. The ocean ahead of them dropped. A massive circular depression formed, as if something below was pulling the entire sea downward. The crew rushed to the railing, staring at the impossible void opening in front of them. Then the water exploded upward. A gigantic tentacle erupted from the deep thick as a tree trunk, longer than the ship itself. Water poured off its slick, armored skin. Suckers the size of helmets pulsed along its length. And then another tentacle rose, and another, and another. The crew froze in terror. The Kraken, the monster of ancient sailor legends, was real, and it had awakened. The first tentacle slammed down onto the deck with the force of a collapsing building. Wood cracked, metal bent. Men were thrown like rag dolls. One sailor vanished under the crushing limb without even a scream. The ship tilted violently as more limbs wrapped around the hull. The Kraken was pulling them down, trying to drag the entire vessel into the trench below. Malik raced to the deck, eyes wide with horror. "It's trying to sink us alive," he yelled, but his voice was drowned out by the creature's unearthly roar, a sound so deep it rattled teeth and bones. Royce snapped into action. "Guns! Fire everything!" machine guns roared. The deck cannons thundered. Bullets and shells tore into the Kraken's limbs, spraying thick, black blood across the ship. The monster recoiled but didn't retreat. It only grew angrier. The ocean erupted again, revealing its head. A massive, domed skull surfaced, followed by two enormous, glowing amber eyes. Eyes that were intelligent, ancient, and full of hatred. Below them, a jagged beak cracked open, dripping black brine. The Kraken screamed again, louder, angrier, shaking the entire vessel. A tentacle whipped across the ship, ripping the rear gun turret clean off. Men scrambled, slipping on blood and seawater as the deck tilted dangerously. Preston burst onto the deck, shouting, "Lieutenant, the signal, it's not a warning, it's a summon. This thing is responding to it." But the Kraken wasn't waiting for a translation. It wrapped another limb around the bow, squeezing. The metal hull screeched. A sailor's leg was caught in a sucker plate and ripped open instantly. He was dragged screaming overboard before anyone could grab him. Royce realized they wouldn't survive another minute. He turned to Malik. "Get the emergency charge, now." Together they pulled out the last resort depth explosive, never meant to be used on the surface. Preston stared in disbelief. "That blast will kill us." Royce replied bluntly, "Better to die free than be eaten alive." They armed the charge. They shoved it over the railing. The Kraken sensed danger. It lunged, tightening its grip, pulling the vessel downward. Water surged over the deck. The ship tilted nearly on its side. Then boom, a massive underwater explosion erupted beneath them. The shockwave shot upward, tossing men to the floor. The Kraken's limbs flailed wildly. Its massive body recoiled into the air, writhing, bellowing in a deafening, agonized roar. Black blood poured into the sea. The monster began to sink slowly, violently disappearing beneath the waves. Its final scream echoed across the water, then faded into silence. The ocean grew calm. Too calm. Only 17 men were left alive. Hours later, as Preston tried repairing the radio, the strange signal returned, now clearer than ever. But this time, it wasn't a call, it was a statement. "Falzer, the first." Preston froze, his face drained of color. Royce stared at him. "What does it mean?" Preston whispered. "It means the one we killed." Was only the beginning. The surviving crew looked out across the black water. The sea seemed to pulse, as if something below, many things, were awakening. And as night fell, the men of the USS Franklin Pierce realized a chilling truth. The Kraken was not a legend, it was a species. And the ocean was calling the rest.